All right. Well, we're live.
We're doing it.
Kyle,
We're here.
Kyle Adams.
What's up, man?
We've been watching videos about with middle-aged men demoing Tonto swords,
The company's Cold Steel.
cold steel.
They make the greatest swords.
Yeah, and
Knives.
apparently dads make them, and then they go out and make videos where they slice up chickens with their swords,
And pigs.
and it kind of makes you want to buy the sword. I'm
They
not gonna
also
lie to you.
They also cut like bamboo stock and tubs of water
Mannequins.
and mannequins. But mannequins really don't show the destructive power of a sword to me compared to like a dead pig. You're like,
I want to see a pig. Pigs really replicate human flesh
right.
in a way that you can demo a sword and kind of get if you were to get into a sword fight with somebody, you kind of have an idea of, what's going to happen if you slice through their torso,
Yeah, absolutely.
which is good. You want to have an accurate representation of,
You got to.
how swords work.
These swords are not cheap, people. I mean, some of these swords are $1,400.
$15,000.
I mean, a true, I guess, yeah, you can find a sword for $15K easily.
$87,000.
I don't know. Look up the most expensive sword in existence.
Most expensive sword. Most expensive sword. If you hear something in the background, is because we were watching Tonto sword videos, and then we went to go get tacos, and then we came back, and now it's on videos about an advanced robot. I like to just let YouTube go,
Yeah.
let it go, come back to it, and then see where it is, because it'll take you to some pretty weird places.
I mean, it's just a pit.
Why does anyone have TV anymore when you just have YouTube?
That's what I keep saying, man. I haven't had cable in years. I don't see the reason to.
We're watching a walking robot right now. It's literally a robot that's walking by itself with human legs.
With some kid,
Some kid that looks like
the hipster version of the
bassist for-
Unabomber.
He looks like, I was going to say the bassist for AFI.
Yeah, I could see
He
that.
builds robots. He's the new rock star, though.
He is.
Like, kids that build robots are the new rock stars. Like, I play in a rock band, and I'm not a rock star. I'm just an asshole that plays in a rock band.
I fiddle knobs.
Yeah.
These people are changing lives.
The kids that play video games for a living, they are the real rock stars.
They're turning into
Like,
it.
I met a kid named FaZe Dirty a year ago,
Dirty.
and he makes an ungodly amount of money to play Call of Duty professionally.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, you're the new rock star. I'm just, I missed the train. I missed the boat on that, on the actual, video. I don't know if I'd want to play video games for a living, though.
Well, they make like 50 to 75.
Who am I kidding? Of
year.
course I would want to do
Yeah,
that. Yeah, that's stupid. Why would I not want to do that? Okay. Most expensive sword. It remains the most expensive katana ever sold at private auction for $5.93 million.
And again, at 7.7 million. What's this sword? Wait, it's
It's a video. Oh, we got to go to the video now.
oh,
The handle, it looks like Donald Trump's katana.
it's something from the Japanese dynasty.
Donald Trump has the taste of an ancient Chinese dynasty. It was just like, I want gold everywhere. I want the toilets to be made of gold, and I also want my toilet paper to be made of gold leaflet. Visit page. Yes, let's visit the page.
The 10 most expensive swords in the world. Who's buying these swords for $7 million?
Donald Trump.
The 5 most famous swords.
I bet you Donald Trump has bought a sword just for shits.
Why is it
This music is horrible.
these people sell swords for a living, Andrew?
Why would you put this music to expensive swords? It sounds like the Carpenters. I don't know if you can hear that. This is horrible sword music. People need to work on their music choices for YouTube videos.
Napoleon's sword, 6.5 million.
I'd pay that for Napoleon's saber.
That's Napoleon's saber.
Yeah, definitely.
That's pretty badass, though.
Man. It's a piece of metal. It's worth like $6.5 million just because one guy had used it, like a certain, like one dude.
It's Napoleon.
I heard his like penis was detached from him when he was killed, and like somebody kept it in a box, and like
Yes.
somebody found
There's
like
a
they just
long
left
story.
it in an attic, and they were like somebody found it, and then like a historian was like, "Oh yeah, this is Napoleon Bonaparte's dick that you just
Yeah.
have in a box. It's the original dick in the box."
Yeah, because it was also underneath someone's bed for a number of years. There was like a long story about Napoleon's dick. It's like the same thing about Rasputin.
That's a weird thing to just find one movie.
Well, you know, Rasputin, you know, his dick is just in a massive jar.
Yeah.
He had a huge member, and for years, people would steal it.
Right.
So it's no longer on display anymore
Jesus.
in St. Petersburg.
No, man.
It's like in a vault now because so many people have tried to steal Rasputin's dick.
Oh man.
That's pretty awesome, though, to be that famous. People were like, I'm going to steal Rasputin's dick.
You get more hand jobs dead than you ever did alive. That sucks.
No, I mean, Rasputin was a ladies' man.
Oh, okay. So he was a gentleman.
He was, well, no, he was severely infested with syphilis.
Ooh.
His first wife tried to carve his heart out, and he somehow survived.
All right, we're back.
We're back.
We had to check some
Technical things.
audio, and in the meantime, Kyle was checking his Tinder,
I am.
and I don't like what I see. I'm pretty glad to be out of the Tinder pool.
It's pretty awful.
Yeah, I'm really glad I don't have to date anymore.
But you know, you really don't take it serious. You can't take it serious.
Don't take it too seriously.
No.
I had some pretty weird Tinder encounters.
If you get them there, they're always weird.
Yeah.
But most of the time they flake.
Most of the time, it's basically an app for people to set up dates and then flake out on dates.
Yeah, pretty much.
I would
Or-
back when I had it, I would like match with people, and then I would just be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And then they would delete me.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they wanted me to like not
Well, I started
say anything.
I
or,
started just
you know.
throwing curveballs. You
Yeah.
know? You poke fun at them a little bit, just like the first thing you say.
Yeah.
Just go off their pictures. You know, like one girl has an elephant. Just be like, "Oh, you like elephants? That's not cool."
I really didn't like it. Yeah, I would hate it when there's nothing to go off of with the profile, like where it's just like, here's me in front of my car, and then like here's me with some friends, and then there's like nothing in the description at all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and then
so if like I match with you, I don't know what is that. Is that a thing where you're supposed to just be like, hey, meet? So like location ? And then you just meet. I don't know, man.
I think it's kind of like the point system on Facebook. You know, it's like the like.
I was never good at Tinder, dude. I just was
I'm
not good at
it.
Tinder.
I've tried Bumble. Bumble's weird too because the girl has to message you first, and she only has 24 hours. And you have to play like this weird game where you have like 3 likes on profiles you match with.
I don't know.
And like if it goes almost to 24 hours, you can prolong it a day for her to talk to you. And it's like that doesn't work either.
Yeah.
I've had a few of them talk to me, but it's always just small chat, and then all of a sudden, 24 hours later, they're gone.
I just still prefer real life, man.
Yeah, I prefer to just meet someone in real life.
I just want a real life deal.
I use Tinder when I'm on the toilet.
Yeah. I was always just Yeah, I met my girlfriend now, met her in real life. Any girlfriend I've ever had, I've just met in real life.
Yeah, same here.
You know, any kind of like meaningful anything, it's because I've met that person out in meat space, as I like to call it.
In the real world?
Yeah. So yeah, it was always weird for me, man. That stuff is definitely atrophying certain aspects of social skill. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like this whole other wall. And once you finally get to the date with them, I've been on some of them that are really awkward.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you want to meet up tonight? Like, let's meet up for breakfast. And then all of a sudden I'm paying for breakfast. Like, well, you trying to get a free meal out of this?
Yeah.
Ellen?
Granted, you don't see this a lot, but the funny thing is when you meet somebody that's a very much you meet a girl that's very much a feminist, like an online feminist,
Yes.
but they want you to pay for everything.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm very feminist until it comes to like paying for dinner, and then we need to go back to the 1800s with that. Also with like,
I feel like with the online dating, the first date should be half and half. I think that's just
go Dutch for like the first 3 dates. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why I have to. I'm the one who messaged you. I'm putting up this whole thing, putting myself out there, and then I have to pay for it, and you never talk to me again? Like, no.
I don't know, man. Yeah.
So I don't deal with that anymore.
Not for me. I was never good at it.
That's why I always want to just meet up at a bar.
Yeah.
It's social. We don't have to deal with food. Because the thing is after the meal's done, like, that's the end of the thing.
Right.
They didn't just leave.
Right.
So.
Yeah. As coffee.
Coffee's a good one too.
Coffee's good.
It's quick.
It's a good like public place. I don't know, man. Yeah, it's just I think it's really easy to overhype shit these days.
Yeah, that's
with online apps, and then be like, kind of overhype it in your mind, and then you get to the real situation, and you're like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? Blah blah blah. I don't know, man. It's really weird. It must be weird being a girl too with that shit.
Yeah,
there's
absolutely.
a lot of fucking weird dudes, man. There are a lot of fucking creepy dudes.
Yeah, there is a lot of creepy dudes.
I never realized how many dudes are just creepy as shit until I had a girlfriend recently that was like, or I still do. She's my girlfriend now, but like, until she's like, yeah, this is what guys do on the reg. And I'm like, whoa, okay, they say that? That's the thing they say to you? She's like, yeah, they say blah, blah, this and this. And I'm like, but they don't know you. And she's like, I know. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh, yeah, man. Catcalling, I see it all the time, man. All the time.
I feel like catcalling might be the least of it because it's pretty, I don't know, man. But I've never had to deal with that. I've never had to walk down a street and like just because of what I'm wearing, like just strange. Like if women did that to men, it'd be really odd. I think we'd freak out. I think if the average guy had to go a day or two just with the same amount of bullshit that girls put up with, we'd lose our minds. I think we'd go crazy. I think we'd like start crying, Like some of us would start crying.
It's just a different dynamic, man.
Yeah.
You got to respect it.
This is way too serious. We were talking about swords before, and then we came back from the audio thing, and now we're talking about that.
Now a guy is making a sword.
Bullshit. Let's go back to sword talk.
Yeah, fuck this serious shit.
I don't need seriousness in my life.
I have too much of it already.
There's a goddamn hurricane coming.
Secret of the Viking Sword documentary. That guy looks like he knows a lot about Viking swords.
That's an hour and 3 minutes and 27 seconds of talking about Viking swords, and I would watch every second of that.
Absolutely.
There's a guy that makes sushi, the Jiro Dreams of Sushi.
Oh, yeah.
He's been making it the same way for like 50 years.
Yeah, it's like $400.
10 seats in the restaurant, like $100 a seat or some shit. You have to book it like 3 months in advance.
I would totally pay that.
And then he comes in and he hand makes each roll of sushi for every plate, and you eat one piece at a time. And he like takes you through a journey of sushi eating. And he's like, this is how it's meant to be tasted. And then like you just eat it in front of this old Japanese man.
With one bite, though,
Yeah.
There's some rules you got to know. You
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
just hop into this place, and order shots.
The sushi has a perfect balance. It doesn't need a bath of soy. Do you ever see that part on Billions? Did you watch it? Remember?
Yeah.
It's like, doesn't need a soy bath. That would be you if you went to a restaurant and you were like a really rich dude and you were having a really bad day. I feel like you would do that. Like you would
soy
yell,
bath?
You would yell at somebody in a sushi restaurant for being obnoxious and eating sushi wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's the right ways to eat some foods, man. You don't you don't eat a steak with ketchup.
Yeah, like, if you're going to go to a nice restaurant, look up their rules,
Yeah.
Be courteous.
Yeah.
If they have a dress rule, dress up.
What
What's
if
the
you
problem?
went? I would like to go to a really formal restaurant and dress like an 1860s congressman with like a really tall top hat. That would be just to see if you can get away with it. I mean, there's no rule about formal costumes, right?
On the fine lines of formal wear and costumes.
Yeah.
I mean, why not, you know? You fit the part.
I mean, how formal can you be? I would like to test the boundaries of the formalism of certain restaurants.
What type of patterns can I have on my suit?
What if you wore a very formal Japanese kimono to a formal American restaurant? They couldn't kick you out.
I think they'd be like, "You're a white dude wearing a kimono."
And you're like, I identify as Japanese.
You can get away with it. Yeah, you could get away with that now.
They keep shoveling stuff in this video. What's going on?
It's
Is this the same fucking clip? Are they just repeating the same clip over and over again?
no, they're repeating the process over and over
The
again.
Secret World of Japanese Swordsmith. Oh, okay, we're going to watch this now.
Look how clean that blade is.
Katanas scare the shit out of me, man.
I almost bought it. You know, on Cold Steel's website, there's a signature model of Steven Seagal's katana.
Oh, yeah, he has his own katana.
It's his own signature katana.
Yo, do you think hanging out with Steven Seagal is really badass? I bet it's really badass.
I don't know.
I do. I think it's really badass.
I think he'd be a little cranky.
I bet he
He'd
has
be a cranky guy.
I bet he has a really in-depth knowledge of wine and hair pomade, and then swords. Like he's really into swords. He's actually like, is he still a cop? Did you hear about that? Like
Yeah,
he was a
cop.
He was a sheriff somewhere
For a long time.
for a really long time.
I mean, he really didn't. He just did B movies.
Steven Seagal should be the kind of guy like how Doug Stanhope just has an open party or used to. You should be able to just go hang out at Steven Seagal's house. You
Doug
know?
Stanhope used to just have an open party.
Well, he used to have an open Super Bowl party. Yeah, where you could just go and Doug Stanhope would post his address. He lived in like Arizona or something, and like you could just go to his house and just Super Bowl party. It was open. He would just be like, you'd be like, "Here's my address." You'd show up, and it'd be like 700 random ass people. To just at Doug Stanhope's house. I don't think he does it anymore.
Yeah.
I think more celebrities should do that. Like more B-level celebrities should do that. A-level would get too crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
Jamie Foxx couldn't do that. Jamie Foxx already has his own parties, but like he couldn't be like, come to my house, because there'd probably be some pretty, like if Jamie Foxx posted his address, there would be at least 10 women there that wanted to like stalk him and maybe like taste his blood. You know what I'm saying? I think you get to a certain point where there's a good number of people out there that know you, who you are, that also might be cannibals, you know?
you just get so famous, you get all the weirdos.
Yeah,
you know?
I would never want to be that famous to where you like cannibal stalkers know who you are, and they're like, "Oh, I want to cannibal stalk this person."
When you go from being just an actor to an icon, this is where it starts getting weird.
Yeah, like Christian Slater.
Yeah, Chris, like he, and then you start going crazy because you're hanging out with all the crazies.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah,
Because that's the guy who started the cult, right? He's like a cult of all of his own. Women.
Oh, I just named somebody who wasn't really that much of an icon.
Who's that guy?
To be funny.
He's doing music now. He has like his whole cult of women that live in his house.
Corey Feldman.
I think so. Yeah, Corey
Feldman and his Angels.
Yes.
He has a band, and it's just called His Angels. That's really weird, man. Do you think he kind of lost it? I think Corey Feldman kind of lost
Absolutely, he lost it.
Corey Feldman lost his shit.
Absolutely.
Oh, man. It just happens, dude. I think if you live in iron sand, oh, my God.
What is irons? I guess it's iron as fine as sand.
All right, folks, if you're listening, you just need to know that occasionally we have Japanese swordsmithing videos on right now, and so occasionally we're just going to blurt out things that we see on video. But anyway, yeah. I guess you just live in Hollywood long enough, you can just go kind of crazy. It's too much. It's too much showbiz, you know. Can you have too much showbiz?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can.
You can have too much of anything.
Yoshindo's shop.
Yoshindo.
Yep. That guy does not eat a single slice of American cheese.
No.
He's eating zero fake cheese.
No dairy.
No dairy at all. That's why they
man.
live to be like 500 years old. They live to be 500, right? 500 years.
Yeah, roughly.
I'm gonna say 500 years old.
No sugar. no dairy,
Yeah.
just rice.
If I never learned about human life expectancy and then someone was like, how long do you think a Japanese swordsmith lives for? I'd be like, 500 years.
I don't know. They may have a shorter life expectancy than you think. Being around all this smoke and
At
chemicals.
least 110.
At least 110.
It's weird how if you live to be 113, you're a teenager again.
That's true.
Yeah. You should get prizes to live that old. I feel like you should automatically get a statue.
Well, did you see that guy who apparently came out being 146?
Like, and it was
Philippines?
legit?
Like, they're actually like testing him. They're like, we actually can't prove these wrong.
I wonder if he ever had a carbohydrate in his entire life.
He looks withered. He does
Yeah.
not look great.
Yeah.
Like, he does not look fantastic.
You
but
wrinkle up. Once you hit 90, you start shriveling, man. Pretty quickly. Like a penis.
Yeah.
Like a penis in a swimming pool. Just you just shrivel,
a nice breeze on it.
I really want to go to Japan, dude. I just really want to go.
I've always wanted to go, too.
I had a buddy that got married recently, and he honeymooned in Japan, and I was watching his Snapchat for like a week straight, and I was just like, I want to do this. I want to go here. People are texting me about my show tonight. So I have this old buddy of mine. His name's Dan.
Dan.
And Dan is basically Doc Brown he is my personal Doc Brown from Back to the Future.
What?
He's just this like old entrepreneur that works in solar energy, and he just would show up to when I worked at coffee shops. He'd just show up and get espresso randomly. He's like, "I'm going to a tech conference about robotics. Give me an espresso." I'm just like, and he's like got the gray disheveled hair, and doesn't look like he's rich, but he is, And he just texted me. He's like, "What time does Otis start tonight? Dan is coming to dance nude." So. Yeah, that's Dan. You need to meet Dan.
Dan?
Dan is like you, but in 70 years.
Ah, that's dangerous.
I know.
I'm not sure if it's good to look into the future that far.
It's nice to have an old friend like that that's like, it just feels like...
Yeah.
He just feels like Doc Brown. He feels like my Marty. The fuck's 1.28 gigawatts.
We need more fuel, Morty.
One day, a few months ago, I was like, what are you up to? He's like, I'm starting an Uber, but like with Tesla cars. I was like,
Wow.
And he's like, you just go from city to city instead of inside the city. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool.
That's
I hope I didn't give away his secret just now.
Well, you can always edit it. This is not
there's
live.
There's 10 people listening to this, so whatever.
Well, those 10 people.
There's
It's already patented people.
There's Jeremiah Rothschilds
Jerry.
from Bozeman, Montana.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Never been.
There's Amanda Legrand
Legrand.
from Vancouver, Canada. There's Brent Charmaine from Detroit, Michigan.
Okay. I like how you remember all these names.
These are real people
I know.
that listen to the podcast. I'd like to give a shout out to all these people.
You listen to every one of them?
What's that?
They listen to every one of them?
They listen to every episode, and then they text me their approval of the episode. Mostly because they exist in my mind
Look at this guy.
and not in the real world.
This guy is just... So this hurricane.
Yeah,
I'm interested to see what tomorrow brings.
my dad's writing it out.
He is like a champ.
My dad doesn't give a shit.
No.
0 F's given.
Weather.
I'm like, hey, Dad, are you worried about the flooding? And he's like, no, but check out this video about what happens when you drop a molten steel ball into a glass of popcorn kernels. I'm like, okay, well, glad to see your concern.
Yeah, it's... what's funny is I'm looking at the radar and everything's kind of dying off by Austin.
Seek refuge to high ground.
Seek refuge.
The storm is coming. 500 years ago, people would have been like, oh, God's upset with us.
They've just been like, I don't know what the fuck's happening out there.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is those people probably were like, we need to just leave. Not just sit and wait it out. They're probably like, we need to leave.
Hurricanes were the first wave of people on the coast passing on their genes by natural selection because the smarter ones were just like, we're going to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, we're just gonna start.
All the dumb ones stayed. You know, not now. Not equating it to now. You're not dumb if you stay now because, like, you know, we have houses and technology.
Well,
But
you're kind of dumb, but
yeah, no, not really. You know, not really. You know,
yeah.
it depends on your situation. But back then, people lived in, you know, huts and whatnot. Probably farther back than 500 years. Let's say 3,000 years.
I mean,
The smart ones left. Smart ones went to Colorado.
like anytime I lived in Fort Worth, there was just a tornado. We would either just leave or go to a friend who had a storm shelter. Not just be like, you know what? We're just going to stick it through our house. We were never that way.
Yeah.
We were like, well, one's landed. Let's find a storm shelter.
No FEMA back then either.
No,
Like in the 1800s, a hurricane fucked you up.
they don't care. Well, you know, one of the worst hurricanes ever was in Galveston.
Yeah, the 19 something, 1905.
Yeah.
I watched a video about it in Galveston once, on an old timey.
Galveston.
Yeah, there was a hurricane museum. This does not look like a sword at all.
We're watching a master make one of the most beautiful things.
Okay, I'm sorry. This just looks like a weird, misshapen, like Pringle chip. It doesn't look like a sword.
He's literally folding steel 1,000 times. It was some type of special metal they had.
What if this whole documentary is this? It looks like this guy's just bullshit.
This guy. How did they figure this out?
He's like, this is what you did to make a sword. And halfway through the documentary, they're like, I think you're just making this shit up. And he's like, all right, you got me.
You know, that's the one thing I always have to ask. How did they figure it out? How they like? We're gonna stack these little pieces of metal, heat them up real hot, and then hammer them into this bigger piece.
Trial and error, man. It just looks like he's winging it. Like, this is the weirdest shit I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, we're gonna put
This
some
guy
straw.
knows more than we will ever know.
It
about
helps if you're
making
watching
swords.
the video along with us right now. This video is called "The Secret World of the Japanese Swordsmith." So look it up if you want to watch along.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah, rice straw. You heat up some
Ash.
rice straw,
Ash.
ashes.
It's very important.
I feel like the dudes in high school who were really into swords are the dudes you didn't really hang out with.
I was into medieval stuff,
Yeah,
but I did not like those people.
you didn't like the people who are really into swords, like
They're just-
publicly into
I
swords.
don't know. A lot of them were just kind of antisocial.
Yeah,
They were
yeah,
just
yeah.
very hard to talk to. Not that I didn't.
I feel like the Columbine shooters probably a little too much into swords.
Like, I have a friend who's really into Renaissance fairs,
Yeah, yeah,
and he's cool. I mean, like, I don't mind him at all, but
yeah, yeah.
he's just really into Renaissance fairs.
I feel like it's acceptable, socially acceptable, to be into swords when you're like over 50. But like anything before that, you're just like,
I mean, you're
What
not
you
picking
doing,
up
bud?
chicks
yeah,
knowing what swords are unless you're like a professional fencer. Okay?
yeah. That's not something you talk to a girl about. Like if you're talking,
No.
if you're trying to pick up a girl, you don't be like, so have you heard about this swordsmith technique that I read about the other day?
No, it's more of like, you know, you walk up to him and start talking about Lord of the Rings.
What is this guy doing, man?
He's getting the airflow.
Breakneck entertainment here on the No Pants podcast, watching swordsmithing videos.
Yeah.
We like to present some fresh content here, you know, is what we like to do.
We're learning as y'all learn, you know?
Life is a learning process,
Yeah.
you know? It's all just a learning process. By the way, screw those guys on the fucking Instagram people that are just like, life is a process. Like, I know that, but like, I don't need to learn that from your Instagram feed, you know?
Yeah, it's like it's just garbage. I try not to look. I've really been trying not to look at my phone lately.
Yeah.
Just really like just leaving it in my room.
I curate the shit out of my Instagram feed. Because, like, if you're posting garbage, man, or, like, nothing that I can relate to, delete.
I had to delete like 20 suicide girls.
Unfollow. Yeah, well, yeah.
I just had to because my Instagram just slowly started turning into
And
just a bunch of asses.
ass. It's just a little too much, you know?
It was too
You
much.
can have too much ass, you know?
There's just some of those girls on Instagram that I'm like, this is too much.
I kind of
It's
quit.
too much.
Yeah.
Like you post 5 times a day, and you're just in a thong or in a pool. Like I can't.
Yeah.
I desensitizes me.
Yeah.
I needed to get rid of it.
Yeah.
You know, just throwing out the trash. There's,
Okay, the hunks of metal are molten now. It looks like a burning hunk of lasagna.
it's.
Like if lasagna was heated up to a molten
I
temperature,
just love how
you
this
started
was
bashing
filmed
it.
like in the 60s.
No, this is definitely like the 70s, 80s.
Is it?
Yeah, look at the grainy texture of the tape.
Look at this guy. He's just fucking.
How is he not sweating?
He is sweating, Andrew.
How is he not wearing, like, I would have to wear 6 headbands right now.
Remember how we talked about they don't eat dairy?
Yeah.
They're very fit people.
Yeah.
Very fit humans.
Japanese people, man. The Japanese don't give a shit about immigrants either. Have you
don't.
noticed that like their culture is very homogenous and that it's pretty much still only Japanese people.
Oh, they do not.
Yeah.
They don't
They're
like
not
anyone.
that's the thing about a lot of people who are proponents of multiculturalism. Where it's like, well, what about the Japanese people that are like not multicultural at all? They're like, well, it's okay if they do it. Like, okay, well, I mean, maybe it is,
That's how they've always been, though.
But like, if a white person is like, well, we should just be a white culture only, people are like, oh, that's weird, man.
That's a little weird.
That's a little weird.
That's a little weird.
It's weird how it's okay for Japanese, but like if white people do it, we're like, nah, that's creepy,
No.
dude. A little too creepy.
People tried that once, didn't work out.
Yeah, well, also white people have their own culture, and that like they kind of conquered the entire world at one point. So
Yeah.
they just killed everyone, so stole land.
We stole a lot of land.
White people are oppressed. We're oppressed. Like, nah, man, just
No.
at any time, in any place in the world, you'd be like, yeah, sure, you're welcome here. No room for complaint. How bad do you have to suck to be a white supremacist that like complains that you're not getting ahead in life? Like, just you gotta kind of suck to be like, well, we're being oppressed.
I would really like to see the average IQ of a white supremacist or a racist.
I don't know, man.
You know what I mean? Just like
Yeah.
average IQ of a racist.
Of an actual like, serious like
Just across the board.
somebody that like calls themselves a racist. Yeah.
who is like just actually truly hates another race. Have them take an IQ test.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, they're all below average.
I bet. Okay, Forrest Gump was a 75, right?
Yeah.
I like to use the Forrest Gump litmus test. I bet you a white supremacist is somewhere in the 90 range, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 notches higher than Forrest Gump. But Forrest Gump, still smarter, wasn't a racist. Let's put him at like 70.
Well,
I don't know.
I just, what part of the brain?
Richard Spencer is definitely smart and definitely a racist shitbag. But he's like really fucking smart. Hitler is really fucking smart.
For the most part.
He was goes without saying, he was like a fucking monster, but like IQ wise, he was.
No, it'd just be really interesting to see, what brain or part of the brain is accessed when
What is
someone
that?
thinks of it like that.
What is this?
I don't know.
This is Play-Doh? They're using Play-Doh
Make it
now?
full screen again.
Are they just illustrating how it works? Oh. They're making a Play-Doh sandwich.
That's exactly what they're doing.
They're showing how you kind of do it. Oh, you fold the steel into itself. Holy
1,000 times.
and then it makes it strong as fuck. Oh my god.
Yeah,
And then
1,000 times.
Yeah. Oh my god. So if you were to make a sword out of Play-Doh, that's what it would look like. Yeah, man. I don't know. I saw a picture of a guy at a white supremacist rally, and there was like a sentence on the back of his shirt that says like, white people need a place for our families or something. And it was like family spelled Familys. And I don't know, man. That's really strange.
That whole rally the other week. Everyone with the Bed Bath & Beyond tiki torches.
Yeah. It's kind of funny, man. Like, except for the part that, where people died. The whole concept of, like, Nazis with tiki torches. I don't think real Nazis used tiki torches back in the World War II.
No, just how...
They probably used real torches,
It was just so retarded.
It
was just so dumb.
How bad do you got to suck to just be like, why people are victims? Like,
Most of them
man.
had to drop out of college after that.
Yeah, sure. I think,
they're-
as in terms of like nonviolent free speech, if you're going to have a nonviolent free speech, I think you should be allowed to like partake in nonviolent free speech if you're doing things nonviolently. The minute you start killing people with cars, maybe there's a problem. But that doesn't mean that if you're nonviolently practicing free speech as a Nazi, that people are going to be like, oh, yeah, you could still go to school here. Or like, oh, yeah, you could still work here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think in this day and age with technology and social media, you can't...
There's a price to pay if you're going to be just like, well, I think I'm a Nazi.
Well, there's a price to pay now to have freedom of speech like that.
Yeah.
If you're going to go out there and support something like that,
Yeah.
there's going to be some consequences now.
There's a point where your opinions are just straight garbage. We should practice old school exiling techniques that people did back in the day. Like, we're exiling you. We should have like a port in America where like it's the exile port, and like we put all the Nazis on the exile port and like shame them. Like throw tomatoes at them and then make them get on a boat and like go to, I don't know, not here.
That's not good either, because then we put them all together. They start, planning shit again.
They should watch Japanese swordsmith videos.
Yeah,
and
they
be
should
like,
just be happy.
Yeah.
You know?
Be like, yeah, well, other people are cool too. Rogan made a good point the other day. He was like, man, what kind of horrible entry point for qualification is it where like the only qualification is to be in a certain club that you have to be white? Like you're going to get some pretty shitty people in your group, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess technically everybody in that group is pretty shitty, but like, that's a pretty low bar. A lot of juggalos are white. Most juggalos are white.
Most juggalos are white.
I would not want to ever. I don't think if someone was like, hey man, would you rather have somebody hit you in the nuts with a drum mallet 5 times or sit in a room with a juggalo for 5 minutes? I might go with the nut mallet.
Here's the thing though. Have you ever actually met a juggalo?
I mean, yeah, met a few of them.
Yeah?
I mean, generally they're pretty nice, but like I don't want to talk to them.
I don't know. Like, I've never.
I just feel like if you're a juggalo, your judgment's in question. Maybe just your ability to judge.
Is that on the same lines to people who like swords when they're little kids?
No, it's
Are those
not.
the same people?
Juggalos are worse than kids that like swords in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's normal. I don't know, man. I kind of recant that. I guess it's kind of normal to like swords when you're young. But it was very like that wasn't a thing that made you cool in high school. You couldn't like be really into swords and like be the popular kid. You know what I'm saying? Like you couldn't be like the kid that dated the cheerleaders and be like, yeah, so I'm having a party this weekend. You can come check out my sword collection. Like it was very much, you didn't do that.
If you dropped that information later on in knowing someone, that's when it becomes cool. You can't just open up liking swords.
I was pretty awkward in high school, man.
I was super awkward.
Yeah. Oh, man. I was really quiet in high school. I didn't party. I was a Jesus kid.
I definitely
I was
started
about the Jesus.
partying when I was in freshman year.
I partied after high school, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never stopped.
Oh, man. Are you going to eat those 2 tacos in there?
I ate one of them.
You eat so slow. I need to eat as slow as you do. Maybe I'd be skinnier if I ate as slow as you do.
I just eat slow. I like to save my food.
I inhale food. I breathe it in.
I don't know what it is. I just like the taste. I just like to take in every taste.
I think I got it from my grandpa, my pawpaw.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a military eater. Like he fought in a war, so he was always like ate, mess hall style. It's like you fucking just eat your food.
Oh yeah, he didn't have time.
He would always eat, he would always have like half a head of lettuce and just like eat it with his hands. Like, and then he'd have like a tomato and just like eat the tomato whole. I would just watch him eat, and he'd chop up produce and just eat it raw.
That's really healthy.
That was like the manliest shit I ever saw in my entire life.
Yeah.
Like as a kid. Like I remember watching him. He used one pocket knife for everything.
Yep.
And sliced it all up with that pocket knife. And then also like picked his toenails with that pocket knife. But you know what? He was a man, so it didn't matter. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's like my pawpaw. He still does 50 push-ups every morning. And he's 92 years old.
Jesus, man.
That's just and he does some pull-ups. He eats healthy. The only problem he has is vertigo. That's it.
Yeah.
And he's deaf because he just built airplanes his whole life.
Yeah. He's like the Howard Hughes that lived and it wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never drank, never smoked.
Yeah. Oh, that's the key.
Yeah,
That's definitely the key.
It's definitely I've definitely taken a few years off my life.
The booze will get you, man.
Oh yeah.
The booze will get you long term. Screws up the old liver.
You definitely have to do it in moderation.
Yeah. Grandpa is just like I feel like that was the last generation of men, because our dads, men, had to take care of a lot of stuff. Didn't fight in a war though. Our grandpas though fought in wars, man. They like had to put their life aside and go like fight other countries. We don't know what that's like. Like we just think of like a war as like, oh yeah, you just, we're gonna shoot some drone missiles at a terrorist or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's go to Afghanistan, where it's like it's kind of an abstract term to us because we're not really fighting nations. We're fighting like an ideology. But they had to fight entire armies, man.
Yeah,
countries.
My grandfather Archie was on the beach in Normandy as a U-boat driver.
Dude, he drove U-boats into Normandy?
Yeah.
Didn't he like he like got on one and then like it sunk and then he got onto another? Like he swam back?
That was a different time. He kept going back and forth with his U-boat, but when he was in the Pacific, he had 3 boats sink under him. And he kept swimming to each boat.
Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, he was trying to save a whole cell of people off a medical ship, and he saw a kamikaze coming and was like, sorry, and just jumped off the boat. And 3 boats of just people just...
So he jumped off a boat that a kamikaze fighter was flying towards, and then like the kamikaze hit the boat?
No, so basically what happened was he was on I believe he was on a battleship. First off, kamikaze hit that one. So he jumped off that one, swam to another battleship, got hit on that one, and then swam to a medic ship. And, you're not supposed to attack a medic ship.
Right.
Well, they didn't care. So they attacked that one. While it was sinking, he got lifeboats, filled up 3 whole lifeboats of people who were injured, lowered them, tied them all up together, and was rowing with a few other dudes trying to get these boats to another ship, and the plane was coming straight at them, and they just had to jump off because they opened guns on them.
Oh, okay. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's I couldn't even imagine having to do
He only
that.
told us this once. But Archie Paul, he was an incredible swimmer.
Yeah.
That was a weird part. It's like he actually held like a lot of records and was in swimming competitions in the Navy. He was an amazing swimmer.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was in the Pacific for a few years. He fought in the Europe campaigns for a few years, and then he just came home.
Yeah.
Never talked about it.
No, I didn't need to.
But yeah, he was...
Didn't have to brag about it on social media.
Yeah, he set me, my brother, and all of my uncles and my dad down and just told us this.
Yeah.
And was like, I don't want you to ask me any questions. I don't want to talk about it afterwards. I just need to tell it once. And he told it once. We all hugged him. And that was it.
That was just
And
it.
we ate fucking Thanksgiving dinner.
That's it. He just
Yeah.
told you the story.
Yeah, you know, he would do things where like it'd be like New Year's and he would just walk out in the yard
Yeah.
and just sit there by himself. You try to go talk to him, he's like, not now.
Yeah.
Just leave me alone.
Just gotta go.
I don't know how it would be.
Yeah.
You know, you don't. I wouldn't know how it would be to wake up that day and be like, oh, we're going to storm this and it's going to be talked about
Yeah.
70 years later.
I don't know.
You know?
I mean, I don't have military training. So, I mean, given that I had military training,
He was 18.
and yeah, I mean, if I had military training, maybe I'd be able to do that. Maybe. But you never know until you're actually put into that situation. But the fact that there were so many men that were able to go do that and like storm a beach. I asked a guy once that came into a coffee shop I was working at. He was like this old man. And I was like, he ordered a coffee drink that like sometimes comes with whipped cream. And I forgot what it was. And I was like, do you want any whipped cream on that, sir? He was like, he looked at me. He was like offended. And he was like, looked at me. He was like, boy, I fought Japanese imperialists.
Yeah.
I don't want any damn whipped cream. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a good
It's
good
like
answer.
my other grandfather, Glenn, he was a engineer for airplanes.
Yeah.
And his team was one of the first teams to figure out three-phase power with a twist-lock connector in a plane.
Jesus.
Yeah, his team was they still use some of the technology we still use today in airplanes.
Okay.
And I was like, Papa, did you guys ever try to patent this or try to do anything? And he just told me, he's like, we were fighting Nazis. And that's all it was. But,
What's up?
the saddest thing is he was 100% German.
100%.
Yeah, he's full-blood German, my grandfather. And was really upset about the whole Nazi regime because it was just not his people. Mm-hmm. And he had to make machines to go kill his people.
Right.
And know he was going to be killing innocent people of his own people.
Right.
So,
Man, that had to suck to like defect out of Germany and be like, man, what is?
well,
what
he
am I
was
fucking doing?
our family moved here in the United States in the early 1800s
Yeah.
out of Germany. So, do you have anyone in your family?
Well,
Fighting wars?
my dad's dad was in the army. I'm pretty sure he fought in the Korean War. I'm not too sure. I'd have to go check, but my dad told me once. But and then my mom's dad he was a rangefinder for a destroyer. He worked the rangefinders on a destroyer in the Korean War, and he would determine the ranges from the gun to like the trains or the bases or whatever the shit that those cannons fired at. And so he had to like watch through the rangefinder, and it was like this computer thing that they used back in the 50s, and like make sure that the projectiles hit their targets and shit. So he saw some stuff, albeit it was from a rangefinder, but like he saw some shit, dude. He indirectly, not indirectly, he was directly involved in combat. Like, so he's definitely saw combat. He said he'd sit on the decks of those destroyers at night, and this was right when jets were a thing. So he'd watch those Sabres and those first generation jets fly in onto those carriers at night. And I remember he was always telling me about the different things. I don't know, like it was just funny. Like he was always he had a way of ingenuity about him where like he would always like rig stuff up all the time. Like he would find ways to like just fix shit. That's what grandpas do, man. They're really good at just like fixing stuff with like very little like duct tape and
They're from a
coat
different
hanger.
time, man.
They could just fix shit. He told me a story about how the destroyer was in the middle of a typhoon or something, and it was like basically rocking back and forth at like 90-degree angles almost, and he had to like take his top bunk and like fashion it against the wall and like fasten it and like make a V shape that he could lay in against the wall. And then it was like super hot, so he like took the pipe that was above him and like poked a hole in the compressed air pipe and like made his own air conditioning and just kind of like huddled there and waited the storm out. I'm like, I would have never thought to do any of that shit, man. They just did stuff, man.
Well, it's like my grandfather, both of them grew up in the Great Depression.
Yeah.
And my grandfather, Glenn, grew up in Kansas in the Great Depression, being farmers. Mm-hmm. And, he's just the toughest dude I've ever met.
Yeah, yeah.
He used to just make this stuff called gunk, and it's basically just fried grease he eats. After you make like all your chicken and gravy and all that, it's like a Great Depression food where you just gather all the bits and everything and just add milk and just keep making it until like it's this gray goop.
So like the shit they ate in the Matrix on the Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah, like he would tell us about how in the Great Depression, he had to eat coffee beans sometimes because there was no food.
No, thank you.
Yeah, but they're just tougher people. I know a lot of Vietnam vets,
Yeah.
too. And they came out of that war a lot more different than World War II. But it's also fighting a different enemy. You're right, war is a weird thing right now in our times.
Yeah, it's kind of an abstraction to us.
It doesn't have the same meaning.
Hurricane Harvey is coming. It's coming for us. It's actually not coming for us. It's coming for Houston. Hurricanes are always hype.
I'm just more...
Unless it's Katrina, then it's like definitely
It's
devastating.
like everyone's just scared of rain.
Stop being scared of rain, people.
I know.
We're also, we're 400 feet above sea level.
Are we?
I don't know. Elevation of Austin, Texas.
I'm not that.
Elevation of Austin, Texas. 489 feet above sea level. San Antonio is 650.
Oh.
Houston is 80 feet above sea level. I had no idea.
You're in a bowl.
80 feet above sea level. Houston's good, man. Dallas, 430. Elevation of... My girlfriend said Beaumont is like... Beaumont. Okay. Very much misspelling this. There we go. 16 feet. Ooh.
I love how it has the inches to make it feel better.
Yeah. 16.08.
Wow.
Ooh. No thank you, man.
Jesus.
They have a lake. There's a lake next to Beaumont. That's weird. Oh, that's not... I don't think you go swimming in that. Played there like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And it smelled weird outside.
Yeah.
It had a bad smell to it.
Yeah.
It's a bad smelling town.
Sorry, people of Beaumont, but why do you live there?
Get out.
I wouldn't reside there.
Get out. Move literally anywhere else.
Like, yeah.
I feel like if I lived in Beaumont, I would just be like, well, I'm just going to go to Houston.
Or I'm just going to move to Louisiana
Yeah.
or New Orleans.
It's the in-between. Don't really like the in-betweens in life in general. I'd rather be one or the other.
Yeah. That's
The
why
ambiguity.
That's why
I don't like the ambiguity of that location, man.
when I moved to San Antonio, people were like, why don't you just move to New Braunfels or San Marcos? I'm like, nah. I want the city.
Yeah.
It's either going to be that one or the other one.
Yeah. Definitely.
You know?
Yeah. I don't need to. Yeah, I don't need to live in a college town.
No.
Well, I kind of do.
We
I mean,
do
UT
live.
is-
We
yeah.
did. Yeah. Or I did.
You don't live here anymore. You're a San Antonian.
No.
Is that it? San Antonian? San Antonite?
I don't know.
A San Antonian? A San Antonian.
It's definitely a different vibe.
San Antonian. Yeah, San Antonian.
San Antonian.
30 things you should never say to a San Antonian. Tell me if I shouldn't say these to you. Never say these things to a San Antonian.
All right. Number one.
Number one, there's a charge for chips and salsa. No, it's not. You're not really sick. You just have allergies. It's not that cold. You should see what winter is like up north. Well, I mean, you should say that to
A Texan.
Yeah.
In
this,
general.
This article, clearly biased. It's written by My San Antonio. So,
Someone from like
know-
Oklahoma.
yeah. I don't respect it.
Oh
at all.
yeah. There's the samurai again. Look, it's a proper sword.
Sometimes I just like to have videos like these playing in the background as I just do things throughout my day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. Again, why would you ever want to have... Some people have like cable news on. Why would you do that shit?
No.
Just have a samurai sword video.
Look at
going.
this guy. Someone spent 6 months of their lives making that sword.
I just want to get to a place in life where I have that much pride in my work. Honor. Dignity.
How much is an authentic katana?
Yo, is that a straight up white dude back there? Check him out, like in the back.
That does look like a Dan.
It looks like a white dad in a kimono doing katana dances.
You know, if I was in the 70s.
Definitely would have had big collared shirts if I lived in the 70s. I would have been one of those guys. Absolutely. You could have launched a plane with the collars on my shirts in the 70s if I lived back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
Bell bottoms.
that was definitely a machismo thing, man. Get the collars out, grow the stash, let your chest hair fly. Just let it fly, man. Just let the chest hair rip.
Listen to disco.
Yeah. That first track on the new Queens of Stone Age reminds me of the 70s. It just reminds me of like Saturday Night Fever. But like in a total like kind of like funky rock way, you know? The stank face way. Forging a katana. Okay, we've had enough Japanese sword videos now. We're going to go to something else. Feet don't fail me now. Do I sound like Josh Homme? No. Okay.
Slightly.
Fear don't fail me now. I'm glad he doesn't sound like that. What if Josh Homme came out with a new record and he was just like, hey guys, Josh Homme here. And here's some music. And then it just like pauses for 30 seconds and then it's like
And very slow.
and it's like literally a beatbox.
A drum machine.
And then it's just like you just hear like
And then all
you
of a
just
sudden
hear,
there's
like,
an accordion.
and then an accordion comes in. It's like wah, and then in the background you just hear, and it's just farts and accordions for like 10 minutes. I would cry.
Would you be pretty upset?
Man, I would be so upset if he did that. But luckily, he put out like an actual record of music.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty sexy.
Go listen to it. Also, if you're listening to this and you want some music recommendations, you should listen to Tears for Fears. Saw them recently. It's pretty great.
I think people know about him.
People know about Tears for Fears.
I think so.
Listen to Otis the Destroyer.
You know, Otis?
We have a record coming out in about a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should listen to that. Listen to that record.
Month.
Yeah,
There's a new War on Drugs record that just came out today.
the War on Drugs.
Kurt Vile's old band.
In the War on Drugs. I'm gonna really fucking hate if when the War on Drugs break up as a band, someone writes a headline that just says the War on Drugs has ended, making me think that the War on Drugs has actually ended, but really it's the fucking band that broke up.
It'll
you know?
never end.
In the drug war, people. That's my political message of the day.
End the war.
In the drug war.
Joey Diaz is live now.
If nothing else, because you would see just a lot of people running around maybe, or maybe there would just be a slight uptick in people running around on crack. And it'd be kind of a great source of entertainment, you know?
You know, we'll just weed off a lot of them.
Yeah.
Just weed off a lot of it.
Let natural selection run its course, you know?
You know, you don't have to make heroin illegal because I'll never do heroin. Even if it is legal.
Yeah, even if someone was like, heroin's legal now, it's not like I want to go do that.
It's not like I would go to the drugstore and be like,
Yeah.
oh, you guys have the heroin now? I've always wanted to try that. Never had the desire.
I think a lot of people assume that people who do certain drugs do them because they're illegal, which is not the case.
Yeah, I let people do what they want. Being an adult, I was watching a Vice trailer from Viceland like 2 days ago, and these, like the surviving underground scene of the Cuban punk rock movement.
Yes.
Okay, this guy's friend was tested positive for HIV, and out of protest, he took her blood and injected it into him to give himself HIV to protest HIV. And apparently, it's like a huge thing now in
Where was this at?
Cuba.
That's not okay.
That's terrifying. Like, those people exist.
That's not okay.
But I understand it. You know, he had a cause.
Nothing surprises me anymore.
No, I'm the same way. I mean,
Nothing surprises me anymore.
if that's what you want to do, man, that's what you want to do.
There are a lot of there are news stories on the Snapchat news section, and I try to avoid that like the plague. But it's just stories about horrible people doing horrible things. Almost like like an uncensored internet version of the local news. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, I don't need to know this exists. It's just pure garbage entering my brain.
It's just not good for your mental health.
I think there's a point where you got to be proactive about what you let into your brain, dude. Because otherwise, everything pouring into your coconut, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I know of the horrific things of, you know, human trafficking, but I can't watch it on a daily basis.
I've literally seen a story on Snapchat that looks like crackhead takes a dump in gas station. Like, what is that? I don't get it away from me. Like, I just don't need it. You know, I would, you know, I could literally think of anything else that I would rather like spend my time thinking about than like, I think a lot of it is like, oh my God, look at what this horrible person did. Now I can make myself feel better, you know, or something. I just don't understand it, dude. It's really weird. Really strange.
Yeah.
Snapchat garbage news, man. Just a lot of garbage. There's a lot of garbage. A lot of noise, you know. I filter it out. I should float more. Should go to those float tanks.
I need to float again.
Just, you know, weed out the garbage, dude.
You ever floated?
No, man. Really want to.
You need to go float.
Kelsey always wanted me to go.
You just never did.
Never did. I don't know, man. I just always thought it was a little expensive for my budget. But
you gotta try it.
Gotta go do it.
But you have to do it multiple times.
Yeah, you gotta break through. Make breakthroughs. There's a lot of new age stuff that seems pretty cool. Still haven't gotten into the yoga thing. Real kind of yoga scares the shit out of me. I just feel like I'll pull a hamstring.
Nah.
No.
You just gotta go slowly into it.
I feel like I'll break my neck or something.
I've never really truly gotten into yoga.
Yeah.
I've done yoga classes.
Yeah.
They're cool. You know?
Yeah.
It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
To do it like all the
I don't
time.
know. I've always been kind of scared because I'm a pretty large dude. I'm just like walking a lot right now. Doing a lot of walking.
Doing a lot of walking.
Yeah.
Losing some weight.
Just, you know, getting the blood flowing a little bit more, you know, getting older.
Yeah.
Gotta think about it. I'm starting to get pains, just random ass pains. Like my heel has been bothering me.
Your heel?
Yeah, my fucking heel just hurts.
The ball of your foot?
Like the back of my foot, like my Achilles tendon. Just fucking hurts. I'm like, what is this shit?
Gotta stretch.
Yeah, I gotta, you know.
Gotta do that yoga shit.
Start eating more salads.
There you go.
With lime, honey, vinaigrettes.
Stop eating so much red meat.
I really gotta lay off the ranch, dude. Like, I just eat way too much ranch.
I hate ranch.
Dude, it's a blessing.
You know what's crazy? You would have freaked out about this the other day. So I was eating lunch with Scott, our friend, and one of our stagehands who was
Crazy Scott.
who was 18
Scott's
years
crazy.
old. Okay.
Yeah.
And he ordered a salad at this pizza joint. And he looked at us and was like, "How is ranch?" And we're like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "I've never had ranch."
Oh my God.
And he's about to go sign up to be frontline infantry for our military. I was like, "You've never had ranch?"
Well, he's definitely not going to get any ranch out there.
I'm like, what? Why?
They don't have ranch in MREs.
And
I don't think so, at least. You know.
I mean, I was just so shocked. Like,
Yeah.
never had ranch. Like, I've had ranch. I don't prefer ranch.
I've always wanted a Hidden Valley Ranch t-shirt. That's how much I like ranch. Hold on.
Hidden Valley.
Hidden Valley Ranch t-shirt. Wait.
That is hilarious.
Ranch Slut. There's a shirt that just says Ranch Slut. I just want the logo
Who's
on the
that
shirt.
porn star? She's a famous porn star.
I don't even Dude, I don't know, but they photoshopped a dick out and then in its place put a bottle of ranch.
No, she's definitely a famous porn star. I've seen her before.
I don't know porn stars enough to like know them by name. I know the last porn star I ever knew by name was Brianna Banks.
Brianna Banks.
Do you remember her? I think she's kind of like
her.
retired now. She might be past her prime now.
Let's Google her. Brianna Banks.
Brianna Banks. Let's look at Brianna. Old Brianna Banks. Yeah, I don't know how old she is now. Is there a retirement age for porn stars?
Absolutely.
She's a very porn star looking porn star.
I actually
She's
don't remember her.
She kind of looks like Margot Robbie a little bit. What is that? Her mugshot? Oh, she got a DUI. There we go.
Of course she did.
I feel like if you're a porn star, you should probably have a few DUIs. You know.
Or, something. Have something.
You think anyone's ever gotten a DUI just like to maintain their bad boy image? You know.
They've been trying for weeks,
Like,
driving
I still
drunk.
haven't gotten my DUI yet.
Man, this is harder than they said.
Yeah, this is her. This is the last one I ever kept track of. Oh my God! Look at that face.
Oh my
Come
God.
on, those lips. Okay. What are you doing with those lips?
Duck
What's going on?
Face.
Man, there's a lot of actresses, porn or otherwise, that are kind of trying to. They just want to look the same, man. They
Absolutely.
all want to look the same. Have you seen Olivia Munn lately?
No.
Olivia Munn got a lot of work done. I don't know what to call him, man. He's like, so that's what she used to look like, right?
Beautiful.
Yeah, and just she's got her own look going. This is her now. And she basically just wants to look exactly like Megan Fox, I guess. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just kind of depressing. Like, why? That's her now, or that's what she looked like. I don't know, man. It's just weird. Your life,
she got like
your face, you do with
She thinned
what
her
you
jaw
want,
out or
obviously.
something.
But yeah, man. Like, she just looks like a person there. And then, like, you look at her after she got all the cheekbone and the lips and stuff, and it's like, well, now you just look like you're from a Hollywood factory. Like, look, I don't know,
I'm a sucker for
you're just, your life, obviously, your face, do what you want, but she looks very, I don't know what her ethnicity is, man. I'm not sure at all, so I'm not going to comment on it. Yeah, man, she used to be on a video game channel back in the day.
Yeah.
She was on like a video game show. I don't know what you called it. It was, man, I don't even remember the channel. Yeah, dude, like this. Okay, look at that. Not the same person.
Yeah.
Not the same person. Olivia Munn, terrified Aaron Rodgers is getting serious with perfect.
What?
That's weird.
See,
Celebrity gossip is weird, man. We're sitting here literally gossiping about celebrities, so that's a little weird to say, but I just don't care, man. But it is weird when people just like kind of change their face because they get into Hollywood. They're like, I'm an actress. I guess there's like a lot of pressure to get work done.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're in that whole world,
When someone offers you $10 million and they're like, your face just isn't what we're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if someone offered you $20 million
Yeah,
for a role, they're like, but we really hate your nose.
dude, she does like that is crazy. That versus that.
I prefer that.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
That's a real face,
She doesn't even look like who.
dude.
Wow.
She looks like one of those like Korean chicks that get the surgery to look American.
She just looks so. That's a shame.
It's weird, right? You can't go back either. It's like,
Yeah, there's no undo button.
yo, you look like Megan Fox now. It's so strange, though.
I mean, even John Wayne had facelifts.
John Wayne also died with 30 pounds of undigested food in his colon. So, not the best role model.
I'm just saying.
He didn't give a shit, dude.
He did not give a fuck.
Cigarettes, whiskey, steak. That's why he died at 50 years old.
Did he die at 50?
I don't know. Pretty early on. When did John Wayne die? June 11th, 1979. Yo, he was 72.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Oh man, he was up there, man.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
He was born in 1907.
he came from hardy peasant stock.
Hardy peasant stock.
I don't know. That's
Go back up.
dude. John Wayne, man.
Look at that shirt, man.
Pilgrim, howdy, Pilgrim. He would slap women around in movies. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, it was a different time.
He was of the age where you just kind of slapped a woman around and like you just didn't think anything of it. You're like, oh yeah, that's just what you do with women. It's like what? Like what? There's a lot of cool things about the olden days. In terms of like men and women having like a certain air of like integrity about them, in a lot of aspects of their life. But also there was like just rampant misogyny and racism.
Yeah, there's definitely pros and cons.
Yeah, like you
those
can.
times.
Yeah, it's
Like you could buy a house.
We pretty much threw all of it out for the postmodern society, but like there was some good shit kind of worth keeping.
It's like
The rampant misogyny
you
and
could,
racism wasn't
live
those things though.
off a minimum wage, have a
Yeah.
house with a family of 5.
You could work for $2 an hour and buy a house for an entire family of 5 and feed them perfectly.
Who gives a shit?
But also
There was racism.
segregation. It's like, arguably the movies back then were of a deeper intelligent. It required a deeper attention span and attention to detail, and the storylines were much more involved.
Well, what's crazy?
But also rampant misogyny.
Have you ever been to a place that was built during segregation?
No. Well, I mean, yes. I mean, I've been in old buildings. Yeah.
Like if you go to the Majestic Theater in San Antonio, they have a balcony that no one goes up to. That's the black balcony, and the only
Or
way to-
was.
yeah, and it's so far up there.
Yeah.
Like if you don't know it's there, you don't know it's there, and the only way to get to it is through a fire escape.
Did they make?
Yeah, they weren't allowed. The blacks were not allowed to actually come through the front. They had to go up the fire escape to their balcony.
What?
Yeah.
That seems very like unethical.
Yeah, it's insane. It was built in 1926.
What did all the Mexicans in San Antonio do? Did they just not go to the theater? Did they have to sit up there?
I don't know. That's a good
I don't
question.
know either.
I don't
Was
think,
the segregation just for blacks, or was it like anyone that wasn't white, dude?
I imagine.
Dude, we were assholes back then, man.
You know
As
what?
far as like,
Google that. That's a good question. Was segregation?
did segregation in the South
Yeah, you just
include?
actually go back. Segregation. It just said, did it affect? Keep going back to.
Did segregation include other races? There
Yeah.
we go. Man, dude, that shit was in law. It was in the law, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
what?
And it was 80 years ago.
Yeah.
Not even 80.
Yeah, man. Screw
I
that.
mean, even
man.
it really didn't stop until the 60s, right?
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yo.
This was during World War II.
Yo, that is so weird, man.
I couldn't imagine. My biological dad used to tell me when he was in school, he was born in the 50s, when he was in, first grade, there was a white fountain and a black fountain. Mm-hmm. And you did not drink at the black fountain.
Yeah.
And they didn't drink at the black fountain.
Yeah.
And it was, if you did, you got in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Couldn't imagine that.
Yeah. It's interesting too to talk to like my mom's parents. I would always ask them about the civil rights and stuff, and they kind of were like, I don't really think they were ever that racist. They were in the sense that like they were older white people from the South that like you spoke a certain way, but like I never heard my grandpa say or my papa say the N-word. Like I never heard I know that my granny, I know that she would say Negro back in the day. She would say Negro because that was kind of like what you said. That was like
Right.
the kind term, I guess. I don't know. I know that she said that, but like I never heard my grandparents were older white Southern Americans, and I never heard them really use any racial slurs like hateful. Like they weren't hateful. And I remember my mom always saying like, yeah, the we would just watch the civil rights movement on the news, and like we weren't really a part of it because we never really like hated. I don't think my grandparents really hated other races, man. I think there were a lot of people back then that were definitely like kind of allies in a sense. And it's kind of nice to know that I think my grandparents were like, you know, definitely some of the nicer white folk back then, man. Because like my grandpa was never, they just never had a hateful bone in their body towards anyone different, you know. So that was cool. That was really cool to kind of learn about it from that angle, because I think you're kind of taught that, like, you know, there's no kind of in between,
Right.
you know. But I think there was. I think there was an in between for a lot of people. And I think you're definitely a victim of your time in a certain way, though. You know, as far as in ways that you think about other people, it's kind of the context, and you kind of can't help that. But it, you know, I don't know, man. It was crazy. I was just like, what's it like during the Martin Luther King era? And Grandpa was like, yeah, it was a thing that happened. Like, it's cool, you know. Like, whoa.
Yeah, my grandparents use racial slurs all the time. I mean, like my mom and her sisters weren't allowed to date out of their race.
Yeah, Jesus, man.
Like my mom has always told me a story about how she was seeing a Puerto Rican guy and how they were actually getting along really well. And he came over for dinner, and my grandfather sat him down in the other room and faced him eye to eye and was like, I have no problem with you people, but you're not going to be in my family.
Whoa.
And made him leave.
Whoa.
Yeah, but that was a different time.
Yeah, definitely.
Like that was actually in the 80s.
Right. Oh, whoa. Okay.
Yes,
Not that long
actually,
ago.
no, but
not that long ago.
But my grandfather was born in 1923.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
You know, when my mom was born, he was 40. So, I mean, you really can't. It's wrong, but it's just a different time.
Yeah.
My parents were never racist, but my grandparents absolutely were.
I think,
certain
yeah.
things.
Yeah, definitely. Man.
But
that's a
I
big deal.
I'd never cared. Race has never been an issue with me, man.
I think my grandparents, my papa never had a problem with you if you were kind and like worked hard. And I think that's kind of how it should be, where it's like, if you're like, well, obviously I think it's how you should be, where it's like, you know, are you kind? Do you work hard? Do you respect other people? Are you just at least trying to be a better person? You know,
Right.
because you don't always have to be one, but are you trying to be? You know, and that was kind of it. You know, and I think he kind of had the right mindset about it, where it's like, well, maybe that's how you move towards a post-racial society.
Well, you know what's funny is
You know?
with my grandfather, I've noticed with his age and with the times, he's become less racist. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, 15 years ago, he wouldn't really talk to his neighbors. Say,
Yeah.
the neighborhood that he built his house in, you know, has become a neighborhood with more minorities. And now he'll actually go talk to them, you know, give them food, go mow their lawn. Has turned like a full 360 with
Yeah.
age. So that's an interesting thing to see too.
That was just like, yeah, it goes to show you that those are just all ideas, you know. They're just all ideas. It's all an idea. And it's very important to challenge people on their ideas. And it's also very important to keep in mind that people's ideas change. And people's ideas of how the world should be, man, it is attached to who they are as a person, but also those ideas can evolve and change. And I think people are capable of changing, and you could change minds and stuff like that. And I think it's pretty important to kind of keep that in mind. Like, to, you know, it is shitty if somebody is a racist, like, no doubt. But like, also, people are capable of changing, you know, and evolving their ideas. When they're shitty white supremacists, typically they don't. They kind of stay shitty for their entire lives. But like, you know, at least on some level, it's, you know, people are capable of changing. I don't know, man.
Well, you know, it's
Kind of like to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes they're not really worth it. Maybe not, but you know.
You know, and it's just really hard to think about. The Civil War was not that long ago.
3 or 4 lifetimes.
You know, like my great grandfather was in the Civil War. Like, that's how short of a time it was.
Yeah.
It was not that long ago. You know, it hasn't even been 150 years yet.
I watched Lincoln the other day, and it opened with a Civil War battle scene. I forgot that it opened with a scene of Confederate and Union soldiers just fighting in the rain, in mud, in those like fully like those wool uniforms, and like stabbing each other with bayonets. And there's that one scene where some dude is literally stomping another man's face into the ground with his boot, and it's like his face is sinking down below the mud in the water, and you're just like, what was that war, man? That was insane.
Yeah, it's the bloodiest war in American history.
Dude, fuck that, man. All over slavery, dude. It was pretty much slavery. People were like, well, it was about states' rights. And I was like, well, yeah, states' rights for slavery.
Yeah.
It's like, it wasn't like we're fighting for the states' rights to like grow corn on Sundays. It's like, no, they wanted to have slaves.
Yeah, they were
and
fighting
that was their
because
economy.
they wanted to keep slaves.
They were trying to keep their economy, man. Yeah, their economy ran on slave labor. And then they were trying to keep that shit.
Well, you know, it's crazy because the way they thought about it,
Yeah.
the way we think about it is completely different. You know, it's like if someone was like, we're taking all your tractors. And you can't have the tractors anymore. And they're like, no, we want to keep our tractors. Like, that's the way they looked at it. They weren't a human to them. They were...
Property, man.
Yeah, they were a property. They were a machine. They were livestock.
So weird.
Which is insane.
It was basically like an old version of the Matrix.
Yeah.
They're like, we need these batteries. They're just using them for their energy, man.
Yeah, and
It's crazy. I'm surprised there are as many like I actually had no idea there were so many statues that
I
were
didn't
still
either.
up.
I
Like
did
I
not
had no
either.
idea there were so many Confederate statues that were actually still up. Like they were like, oh yeah, there's 4 at UT, just like in the courtyards and shit. I was like, wait, what? Like, we really have that many like losing team statues? They lost. They lost the Confederacy lost the Civil War, and we're still like, yeah, let's just keep up statues. Flip side of that, how many statues do you see of like freed slaves and stuff that went on to like make like tremendous successes of themselves? You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, why don't we see those statues up? And that's an important question to ask. Like, why don't we see statues of those people
Well, you know,
who overcame all the adversity
so
and then used the America to propel themselves? Because that's
absolutely.
why don't we ever see those stories, man? Why do we still see, like, why? It is pretty significant. I think that we had a point where I think it's important to realize that like knocking down statues isn't going to really do anything in the long term. But it is kind of a symbolic. It's a pretty good symbolic movement of like, yeah, we kind of need to like flip the coin on this shit.
Yeah, and I didn't realize this until the other day. There was a video that came out where someone mapped out the mass production of Confederate statues, and most of them were actually formed during the Civil Rights Movement.
Whoa.
Yeah, so all those bronze statues you see of Robert E. Lee is all made by the same company of the Daughters of the Confederacy.
Whoa.
So that's another thing about it, because you see that video where they pull down that statue
Yeah.
in, what is it, Charlottesville, and it just bends. It's all cheap fucking bronze statues that they knocked out $200 a pop and just started popping them up everywhere. Like, they ramped up 3 times the amount of Confederate monuments during like 1961 to 1964.
Yeah.
All across the South. So that's another crazy thing too that no one talks about is
Where did those come from?
the Daughters of the Confederacy.
Yeah, that really it's really weird. I didn't know we had so many on the lawn of our Capitol, man.
I have no idea either, but
Dude,
that's the
come
thing,
on,
is-
dude. It's it's like, I'm typically pretty skeptical of like radical action of any kind. But that's something that I'm like, I kind of totally support. Like, Yeah, man. Like, bring the statues down, dude. Like,
Well, I mean-
why do we need put them in a museum, man?
Put the ones in the museum,
If you want to put like,
and don't forget history. That's another
Yo,
thing too.
yeah.
Don't forget the history.
people that are talking about like, well, we're gonna forget history. Like, hey, books exist. That's why books exist. Books where we document things. Hey, the internet. That's a
we'll
thing.
also know the history too.
We're not gonna just if you're talking about like preserving history, and you're saying that like that's threatened because of statues. Hey, man, what's really bothering you, dude? Straight up, like what's really bothering you?
Well, it's turned from
That's an important question. To
it
ask.
turned from Robert E. Lee being a person to being a symbol of white supremacy.
Dude.
Because-
So weird, man.
Because Robert E. Lee himself was offered the position to be the general of the Union first,
Yeah,
and actually opposed slavery.
yeah.
He didn't even believe in what he was fighting for. He just didn't want to fight against his own people in Virginia.
But
But he did, apparently, he did own his own slaves. And he did treat them pretty shittily, but he wasn't for slavery.
Yeah.
It's kind of a vague subject with him in his history, but yeah, I think we just come to a point now where it's, if a statue offends so many people,
what are you really bothered by, man?
take it down.
Just like if you're offended by somebody taking down the statue, what are you bothered by, man? What's really bothering you there, bro? That's an important thing because there are a lot of people that are like, we need to fucking preserve. What do you need to preserve, man? Put it in a museum. Put it in a book.
There's a reason
History is
why
important.
there's
History is
no
full stop important to preserve, and it's important to understand what happened in the past because the past truly is prologue, and it's important to understand and to put on into context, the timeline of human events. But also, hey, take them down out of the courtyard that's like across from a fucking like elementary school. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, there's no reason for these to be in like the courtyard of a public university.
Well, what's crazy is you see like in San Antonio there's the Robert E. Lee Middle School.
Yeah, that's really
Like
weird.
I've been looking it up more and more. I found a map. Kind of like how you can look up like sex offenders like on a map, and there's just dots.
Can you look up Confederate statues?
You can look up hate groups,
Ooh,
and there is 4 white supremacy hate groups in Austin alone.
okay. Well,
There's 2 positions, the Daily Storm and all that, but it's just crazy. It's you look at more of them, and the craziest part is there is more of them on the East Coast,
yeah.
everywhere up north on the East Coast compared to like what the South actually has. They're more scattered down here.
There's no why identity politics is weird, man.
Here, I'm gonna find this. My
Identity-
friend posted it. It's
Identity politics in general, pretty shitty. I think if you use anybody's identity to like kind of like prop yourself up, it's kind of weird because like people aren't defined by the group they're in, really.
absolutely.
But white identity politics has to be the worst kind. This is definitely like the shittiest kind of.
Well, it's
Like it's just a bummer, dude. It's like, what are you missing, man? There's nothing. What's going wrong in your life, dude? Where you got to be like, oh, I'm white and I'm oppressed. Like, yo,
not even that, man. Just
that's a map of hate groups.
that's all a map of hate groups on what's the website? SPLC. .org.
Southern Poverty Law Center.
Yeah,
Southern Poverty Law Center.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, that's a good organization. They have some ambiguous judgments on who they consider a hate group. They're ex-Muslims that are now like very much against and like Islamist.
Right.
Your jihadists, your ISIS and stuff like that. Wow. And the Southern Poverty Law Center is like, yeah, you're a radical hate group. And they're like, whoa, we're literally ex-Muslims.
See, I didn't know that. I just found that little link the other day and was...
For the most part, they do a good job. But they are doing stuff like that that's really peculiar. And it kind of makes you wonder, like...
What's your allegiances?
Hey, what you doing there? What you doing there, bud? Nothing's perfect, I guess. There's a lot of... there's a lot of organizations that are trying to do a lot of good work, and
a lot of hate
who
in the
knows,
world.
man? Yeah, who knows? At least it's good to have like organizations that are like, let's stop hate. Sometimes they are a little overzealous, I guess. They kind of.
But just watching these statues, go down and people realizing why they were put up in the first place,
Or just
and
all the people that are just like, yeah, I didn't know that was there. So let's.
well, yeah, and then
really weird.
just getting out there and slowly fixing the world.
You're never taking the Buccee statue down, though. You're not taking a Buccee statue.
That would be bullshit. Okay,
Do not take the Buccee statue down.
I will fight you if you try to fuck with my.
We
Buckees.
should take all the Confederate statues down and just put Buccee statues in.
We
its
should
place.
melt them all down into a bigger Buccee statue.
We should melt all Confederate statues down and make a giant Buccee statue out of it that is like in the exact middle of Texas.
Right, it's like our Statue of Liberty.
Find the
but
true
it's the
center of
Buckee's
Texas,
beaver.
and that's what we did with our Confederate statues.
Does the Bucky's beaver have a name?
Buck?
We're bad Texans. We don't know
Man,
that.
I don't know, man. I think it's just Bucky's, man. That's the Buccee.
That's the Bucky.
That's all Southern states that were part of the Confederacy in the Civil War should melt down all their Confederate statues, and then there's a contest to see who does the best thing with their Confederate statues. And if we took all of ours and melted it down into a giant Bucky statue, guarantee you we would win the contest.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like what would Arkansas do with theirs?
Make the boar.
Yeah, make
No.
like a razorback. No one cares about that. What would Louisiana do? Make like a giant bowl of jambalaya? No one cares about that shit.
Make a giant shrimp.
Yeah,
That'd be pretty cool.
Florida would make a pretty cool one. I bet Florida would do.
A massive orange.
They would make a giant Florida man. That's
Man.
always in the news. Yeah. They would do that. That's what they would do.
They would be stealing from us. That's called big tex. Good
Big
sir.
Tex. Anyway,
All right.
melt the statues down. Make a giant Bucky statue.
Fuck
and that's-
racism.
Fuck racism. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that's
we can all agree with that.
That's actually that's definitely
Just fuck it.
yeah. Fuck all of it. Let's wrap it up, man.
Love
That's
all
good.
these
That's a good
people.
ending thought. All right, guys. Well,
Later.
we're gonna play you out with Otis the Destroyer's new single. It's called "Hand Me Nothing," and I'm just gonna let you listen to the entire new song, and then go to iTunes and listen to our stuff and rate it and stuff like that. And rate this podcast. Go to SoundCloud, YouTube. We're gonna be on iTunes soon. As soon as I can get a good logo up, I need to find somebody that can do Photoshop, or maybe I should just learn how to do that. But yeah, Kyle Adams, thanks for coming.
No problem.
All right,
Thank
bye.
you. Bye.